Hey, what's good? It's V here. This video is a result of me and a friend of mine having a conversation. Actually, several conversations I've been having lately um, with a few of my friends who claim to be theists. I'm an atheist. It took me a while to realize that that's actually what I was, and so I have a lot of sympathy for people who are either stuck in an agnostic phase or holding on to the idea of a God or a notion of a God by scrambling for definitions, so to speak. Acknowledging that the religious definitions of God are really not okay in a logical sense, and then trying to find other definitions for God that could maintain the theistic view. I have a lot of sympathy for that. I was agnostic for a long time. When I really broke it down to myself, I understood that it was because it seemed unfair that I could possibly die and never understand in full what the fuck this all is. You know what I mean? That I could die and the only answers that I would have would be the answers that I uncovered for myself. And that there would be no one, no entity, no existence after this where I could be let in on the secrets, basically. You know, the things that I didn't know, the things I didn't understand, that my human brain couldn't grasp. It just seemed cruel, even, that I could die and that would be it. It would end there. It just seemed cruel. So it just had to be an afterlife. There has to be a God. There has to be something, someone who's going to show me what everything is really all about, and there will have to be some type of consciousness of mine that exists after my body is gone that can understand and compute those truths. And when I really understood that that's what was making me hold on to my agnosticism and my inability to say that I don't believe in a God, was that it's just a huge argument from ignorance. And I was a little bit embarrassed, actually, when I realized that that's what I was doing to myself. I was holding on to this idea out of fear. It didn't seem possible any other way. Like, what evidence do I have? The mystical experiences that I feel like I do have, if I want to call them mystical, it's my imagination. And I understand that that's probably a huge reason why a lot of my friends claim that they do believe in a God, because imagination and creativity and your consciousness in general, it's fucking beautiful. It's amazing that we have imaginations that do things to us, that make us think of things, that we have an active mental life that is totally separate from our actual lives, so the things that we actively are doing, um outside of our heads. And it's just amazing and beautiful that your imagination is what allows you to have these visions that you could even accomplish these things. It's holograms, you know what I mean? Nothing but holograms, and you can bring them into actuality by doing things. And that is the beauty, that is the poetry of life, in my opinion. Regardless what you're doing with these things inside of your head, the fact that it starts there and that you affect things by whatever's happening inside of your head, it's beautiful. It's magical, even. It seems magical. My father even said that imagination, to him, is a practical application of faith, because I was saying, I think faith is worthless. I think it leaves us susceptible to manipulation, and I really don't see the value in it. And he thinks that imagination is an example of a practical use of faith, that we would be so stagnant and unable to move if it were not for our imaginations leading us to believe that certain things were possible, even if it was unprecedented in our own lives. Um, which obviously I don't, I think there are some problems with that viewpoint, but I do see the seemingly inherent magic of consciousness, of self-awareness, of your imagination. And I can see how people would think that by tapping into your imagination, you are somehow tapping into some energy greater than yourself, that you are somehow tapping into some life force that allows things to be possible, and that force is magical, and that force is somehow, in relationship to God. This is, in so many words, the arguments that I'm getting from theist friends of mine. My reason for being an atheist is because I think it's safer, not more comfortable, not more creative. I think it is safer for the clarity of my mind, and for my ability to discern truth from fiction, to accept things on the basis of evidence, and to know what is good evidence and what is not good evidence. And I really think that that's what believing in God is. It's something that we are susceptible to. It's something that we are prone to. The same way that coincidences seem strange. It's our ability to make connections. It's our brain trying to fill holes. That's what our brain wants to do. It's not comfortable with there being gaps in information. It seeks to fill those holes, and there's so much that we don't know because our imaginations move so much faster than we do, and we are desperately trying to catch up with our imaginations on the scientific front. If you look across human history, and there are things that were once mystical that are not anymore because we have explanations for them. We have natural explanations for them, and that's why religion has had such a difficult time holding on, is because we understand things that we didn't used to understand. And the only reason, in my opinion, why religion still has such a stronghold is because there's so much that we still don't know. And that's what religion seeks to capture. It seeks to play on our ignorances. Um, and our ignorances are the areas that are vastly interesting. And it is also our ignorances that are vastly uncomfortable. And that's what religion seeks to attack. And that's why people still use the word God. It's totally possible that the God that anybody is talking about is a fucking particle. This particle started everything else, and all the other matter in the universe started from this particle. And I would not call that particle God. I hope that nobody would call that particle God. People would call that particle a fucking particle. They would call it by its name. Honestly, that's the biggest problem. That's really what I'm talking about in this video, is non-religious theists. If you sit down and you ask yourself, what is it that I mean when I use the word God? What am I actually referring to? It's not fair to you or to the collective that you're a part of if you are simply using the word God to describe this feeling of connectedness that is so evident, you know, between, humans and other animals, and even humans and the dirt, because we are, from an evolutionary standpoint, all connected. It's not because there's this God out there that I feel connected to. And I also don't think it's fair to me or the collective that we even trust myself so much as to say, it seems this way, so I think it is this way. Without certain systems in place, I don't trust my ability to observe things in an objective manner. I see things through the filter of me. And unless I have some type of scientific method in place, so that my subjective experiences do not contaminate my ability to have objective knowledge, then I don't trust myself. And that's what science is. What happens when you say something seems a certain way, so it must be this way, is you really don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It bothers me the most. Out of all of the different mechanisms that agnostics or theists use to maintain their belief in God, is when they say, you know, whatever you want to call it, I believe in God. And it doesn't matter if you want to call God science or if you want to call God love or if you know, that really fucking bothers me because now what you're doing is you are saying, I so don't know what I'm talking about when I'm referring to God that it could be anything. It could be whatever. That it could be whatever you want to call it. Even to go so far as to say science is God. Science is not God. Science is not God. Science is a practice. Science is not an entity. Science is not a consciousness. Science that allows us to change our knowledge as time progresses and evidence collects. And that is not what God is. God, it just bothers me. It just bothers me when people are using this word so loosely. What's really happening is you're adding to a problem. You already don't really know what God is. All right? And you don't even really know if you believe in this thing. So what you're doing to fix this problem is you're saying, well, God could be anything. And I believe in one of those some things. So I believe in God. And it's just not fair. What needs to happen is there needs to be a definition of God that everybody can agree on and say, this is what God is. And this is what I mean when I use the word God. So that I know that when I use the word science, you aren't automatically calling me a theist because I am not. I am an atheist. I do not believe in God. And I do not believe in science. I think science is a practical application of a set of rules and enables us to understand our world in an objective way. And that is not God. Like I said, it is religion playing on the things that you don't know and saying, well, until you have a better explanation, the explanation is God. And that's what the fuck we're calling it until you do have something else to call it. And it's just not fair and it's not safe. And I am interested in what is. I'm interested in the truth. As uncomfortable as it is to not know things, and as hard as my brain and everybody else's brain tries to fill in these gaps, you just have to know that that's what your brain's doing and see the value in being ignorant on certain things until you're not anymore, until there is evidence for the things that you claim to accept. And that's really all I had to say about that. Peace. Apparently, nature is just that beautiful. I don't know.
Because, like, I feel like if we give a shit, we give a shit for a reason. And
We do give a shit for a reason. We have reasons why we give shits.
and that reason might be like because there's something bigger than us going on. You know, there's something more than us. It's something that's beyond us, and we want to know. We are part of it. We as humans have, you know, like the urge.
Bigger than us, meaning there are things bigger than us going on. They're called planets.
Yeah, everything.
And
like
stars.